Good morning. Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. After my recent for sale videos, about 100 records, which sold out by the way, value pricing works, I thought I'd publish a video showing what remains. As I go through the 200 or so records, you may be thinking there are quite a few gaps. Not really. I only buy repertoire that interests me on recordings with famously good sonics. Inspired by my dear friend Scott Wilson of the Pressing Matters and Audiophilia, I aim with originals to get the very best pressings. We'll discuss as I show the records. As for reissues, all the great companies are here: Esoteric, AP, Classic Records, Chesky, Speaker's Corner, and DG the original source. All records were purchased by me, re-sleeved in vinyl storage solution sleeves and MoFi inner sleeves. Not that I'm selling any, but all have been cleaned multiple times on my Degritter Mark II, and I would bet that all are near mint. So let's have a look at my curated classical collection. We'll do another video of my jazz. So let's begin with my originals. These are all from the golden age of recording. I'll keep the comments to a minimum. Just Jan's going to help me go through the records. So let's start with the Argos. These are all British pressings. That's a fantastic Pulcinella, by the way, if anybody wants to get a great Pulcinella. That's one of my favorite modern symphonies by Tippett. Fantastic. Rossini wrote those when he was a teenager. Brilliant string sonatas. Okay, these are Deccas. That's at Los Angeles Decca, so they'd gone from the ED1s, ED2, ED3 to narrowband. So that's an ED1, but it's a narrowband. Same with that one. That's an interesting one. That's an ED3. ED1's are about $500, maybe up to $1,000. That one cost me $100 on an eBay auction, and it's a fantastic record. That's an ED2, the Bartok, the Schulte, superb. And that's one of the best ED1s I have. The Dvorak Arcade is great, but the Scherzo Capriccioso is a fantastic piece of music. That one cost me quite a bit of money on eBay, about $200. Beautiful original Decca ED1. Ensemble, Debussy Homage, Stravinsky, Ravel. Now on to the EMIs. Glorious music by Vaughan Williams, done by Bolt. Vaughan Williams is among the best. If you're going to get a D-List record, get that one. A lot of revisionism about that record, but it really is the best Rachmaninoff Second Symphony. Oh, Previn does it so beautifully. And the recording is beautiful. Jan, just show the label, please. It's the standard a postage stamp, but it's beautiful. The same with the Shostakovich 8. That is a really good symphony, Walter No. 2, in case you want to get that. That's a very maligned Manfred. They're all wrong. It's fantastic. This is an old friend of mine, Walter Ebeling. She was a professor at Trinity. Harpsichordist, extraordinary, Australian. That's a very fine record, Scarlatti Sonatas. She was a real force of nature. Everyone knows that record. Of course, the beautiful English string music with Bob Raleigh. Very interesting Dusty Devonta Edda. I think it's the best. It's the Klemperer. You'll see a lot of Klemperer in my collection. That's on, notice it's got HMV, EMI, and Angel, because the orchestra got disbanded halfway through the recording. So everyone had a shot at the publishing. But it's an EMI pressing. It's fantastic. Another one of my favorite records, Studio 2 series, whatever that was, but it's EMI Columbia. Massenet Lucid with the City of Birmingham Symphony in a cavernous Birmingham Town Hall, but Stuart Elton, the engineer, really does a good job capturing the orchestra. It's a wonderful record. If you're going to get a Rachmaninoff Fourth Concerto, that's the one to get Michelangelo. It's not cheap though, even secondhand. Be careful though, the monos look very similar. So if you're buying one on eBay, don't get the mono. There's one of my prized collections. That's Scheherazade of the Beecham Royal Philharmonic. Show the label, please. Yeah, it's a cream and gold label. I splurged. It was about $200. Wonderful, wonderful record. More Klemperer, beautiful. That's a Columbia. Just show the label, please. Half Moon. That's the Columbia Half Moon label. It's just second pressing. The first pressing is the saxes. They're just out of sight price, right? You can't buy them. And there's another one of my prized Bruckner 4. I searched high and low. Again, first pressing, impossible, about $1,000. Show the label, please. So it's a Half Moon, and I got it from Kingsway Hall Records in London, and it's just a beautiful performance and recording. It's so much better than everything else I've heard, including the Testament reissue. More Klemperer. Everybody knows that. That's another Half Moon pressing, just glorious Schwarzkopf. Beautiful. Cost me about $150. Now with the bluebacks. These are all bluebacks, by the way. All my Londons. That's one of my favorites. I got a chance to work with Mr. Campoli and when I was in London, and a wonderful man, gracious man. And he was still fabulous in the 70s, and that's one of the greatest Tchaikovsky concertos. It's very expensive if you can find it. I've been very lucky and found that for quite inexpensive. That's an old one. The cover's not very good, unfortunately. Most of these covers, you'll notice, they're very good. I'm very lucky with covers. But all the records are all near mint. But it's beautiful. Can you just show the blueback, please, James? So this wide band, it's still on a wide band. Just take the record up, please. And you see the blueback. You see they're all sleeved with the vinyl storage solutions, double flaps, and the MoFi inner sleeves. Berlioz done by Martinon, fantastic. And that's one of my favorites. That was a gift from my friend Ryan Fuzzato. Boy, blueback of that. It's actually probably in VG plus condition, but it doesn't matter because it's such a magnificent performance. If you're going to do Midsummer Night's Dream, that's the one to get. Okay, that's the end of the bluebacks. Now my Lyritas, George Lloyd Symphony No. 5, an amazing piece of music. These are all Decca pressings. Later on they went to the Nimbus pressing plant, but these are all Decca. Yo-Yo Ma's first performance on record, Yo-Yo Ma. That one's expensive. That one cost me about $200. It's a Decca pressing, the Scottish Dances, English Dances by Malcolm Arnold. Incredible record. The sound on that record, people talk about it as legendary. It's worth the money. Paul did the Elgar's symphonies several times, 3 or 4 times. These are very, very good, the Lyritas. And that's it for the Lyritas. Okay, I have a few Mercury. These are all plum label color backs. Jan, can you show the label? and the just take the record out. You can see the right-hand side is in color. You can tell they're Indianapolis pressings. There is some parts of the stamp where RF, RFR, whatever, for first, second, I'm not sure. But these are all very, very fine pressings. That was also a gift from Ryan. Beautiful, beautiful record. If you're going to get a Grand Canyon suite, oh, I know people give it the Telac for the digital thunderclaps, but that's a wonderful record. My favorite 1812 took me five tries to get a VG Plus record version because it's impossible. Because it's been played to each record's been played a million times. The 1812 and is wrecked. But if you can get a good one, they're very good. That's a wonderful recording. And that's the end of the Mercuries. And the final section is my prized living stereos. You'll notice that the sample number is on the yellow post-it note. They're all Indianapolis, they're all low stampers, except for that one, which took me 4 tries to get. That's the lowest stamper number you're going to get, 12S14S, on the Strauss Waltz. You cannot get lower than that. It was expensive, but it is magnificent. I got a low 12S14S Rockaway, not good. Well, actually, quite good, but the Indianapolis pressing is significantly better. 4S3S, 1S, that's a very fine recording. That's a 7S1S, but still very fine. It's an incredible record. That's one of my pride and joys. The Classic Records reissue is unlistenable. A very rare miss from Michael Hobson and Bernie Wenman. But it's worth looking for an original, even the Victrola. But the a 1S, it cost me about $100, I think, but it is magnificent. And that's another one of my absolute favorites. I looked for the original. I had a Canadian pressing, it was very good. But this is a 1S2, it's magnificent. That's the end of the originals. Okay, let's continue with the reissues. Beginning with Chesky. That was, interestingly, Reiner's favorite recordings. After all the great Chicago recordings he did, his favorite was with the Royal Philharmonic. It's wonderful. Again, these are Wilkinson Gerhardt productions and re-engineered by very fine mastering engineers. That's the end of the Chespies. These are Chasing the Dragon, direct-to-disc. Well, one is direct-to-disc, one has to be mastering. Lovely recording, Hispania. And that's a knockout Scheherazade. That's the end of those. And now my Deutsche Grammophon, the original source. The Emil Berliner team has really transformed these records. The ones I have, some of them were not good. The Mahler 5, the Mavlast, I don't like. But some of these are quite amazing. Seiji Symphony Fantastique, probably the best on record. That's one of the best remasterings by Emil Berliner. The Beethoven 7, which is good in its original incarnation, but my goodness, that is fantastic. And Gillow sounds so beautiful on that Beethoven record. Okay, that's the end of the Deutsche Grammophons. I've got some others in box sets, but we're going to do the box sets later. Classic Records Mercury, magnificent Scythian Suite in Love with Three Oranges. And one of my, if you watch my channel for a long time, you'll know that that's one of my favorite records. The Classic Records Bernie Grundman Firebird. Oh my God, it's fantastic. And that's a Bernie Grundman classic from the Everest Corroboree Fun Record, Fun Cover. That's it for those. Again, these are all reissues. One of my favorite companies, Esoteric. I know there's a digital step in there, but it's still very well done. Carrie-Anne Dvorak Kate, Vienna Phil, wonderful. One of the best check players on record, Leningrad. Well, what are you going to say? One of the greatest records ever made. The Decca is original. It's $1,000. Can't buy it. The London Blue Bat's pretty much the same, $700 or $800. And people kept telling me, Anthony, you got the Speaker's Corner, which is a very good one of their best recordings. But this Esoteric is very special. It's brilliantly done. Highly recommended. Lovely Swan Lake. And that's one of the best New World Symphonies you can find, the Cortez Vienna Philharmonic. Fantastic. That was the very first Esoteric in this latest series. It's wonderful. That's the end of the Esoterics. ORG from 2010s. Then they stopped producing Bernie Grundman's double 45s. They're wonderful. This is the Scottish Symphony, Mendelssohn, Marg, LSO. There's the great Monteur Daphnis. And there's the Espana. There's lots of different ones. Speaker's Corner is wonderful. The original, forget it. Can't buy it. Too expensive. But that is fantastic. And that's the end of the IORGs. Now to my analog productions. There's a couple of classic records in here, but they're mainly analog productions. That's the analog productions Witch's Brew. All my living stereos, which I absolutely adore. The originals, especially, but the reissues are wonderful. That's the classic records. It's fantastic. Also classic records. If you're going to get a bronze winding concerto, there's no better. Heifetz owns that concerto. It's wonderful. I wish Chad would reissue that one. That's an incredible recording. The Classic Records, London Symphony, Shostakovich Symphony No. 1 with Martineau. Oh, it's an incredible record. One of my absolute favorites. Okay, that's the end of my Analog Productions Classic Records reissues. These are all Speaker's Corner. Good German company and very, very good reissues. That's a wonderful Dvorak Boston Symphony Chamber Players. That's the greatest symphony of the 20th century. Some good, there's a tulip pressing, which is very good on Dutch gramophone, but that's the Speaker's Corner. That's the best one. Carrie-Anne recorded it twice, also in digital. Get the analog one and get that one, the Speaker's Corner. It's incredible. Speaker's Corner did 3 or 4 really amazing reissues. That's one of them, along with the Three-Cornered Hat, which is excellent. But that Trout Quintet, Speaker's Corner is superb. Another one, the Petrushka, the best Petrushka. I used to kind of proof-read that Petrushka, but it's fantastic. I got to hear it on a really good pressing, so I got the Speaker's Corner. It's very good. Okay, that's the end of the Speaker's Corner. And I got a few Testament. A great Brooklyn Eye by Sherrick. And of course, you need Testament. You can't buy them. They're $10,000 records. The Kogan Beethoven and the Ostrach Beethoven. Don't ask which one is better. They're both amazing. And that's the end of the reissues. Okay, these are originals and not necessarily audiophile, although I think they're all very good sounding records and great performances. That's a director disc, Nicholas Van Fuca, Chopin. That's a very fine recording, very rare French CBS Beethoven sonatas, violin sonatas, beautiful. That's a magnificent recording of Debussy's chamber music with the Boston Symphony chamber players. Highly recommended, beautiful sound. Great string quartet record by the Tokyo String Quartet, Haydn. Haydn. Lots of Schubert, Alfred Brendel, you'll see. Even if you don't like modern music, try and get that record of Raven String Quartets for the Quartetto Italiano. It's absolutely beautiful. Stunning record. A great Trois Nocturnes in Jeu Debussy with Concert Cabal and Bernard Haitink. A wonderful recording. A wonderful Sibelius with Christian Ferris. I try to get the original red cartouche of that. It's hard to find in good condition, but it's a fantastic performance by the Bernard and Carl Brown. Actually my favorite. Michael Tippett's brilliant Concerto for Orchestra in the original Phillips. Yes, I love Schubert with Brendel. All these records are like $5 each. That's a great dust lead with Haitink and the Concert Cabal on Phillips. Great recording, fantastic performance. Janet Baker's amazing on that. And that's on, actually you'll find many of these recordings that I've shown you on the videos today on the Audiophilia Dream List. This one is not a tulip. And some of his Boston Symphony recordings are a little bit crazy, Tilson Thomas. But this is a wonderful recording. The Haiku Super Cuts are terrible. This is a good one. It's the first one I bought. I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be great. The series is wonderful. I bought 3 or 4 more afterwards that were dreadful, but this one is very good. Very good Victrola. You can't find the Shaded Dog. It's too expensive. The Matinal for Coffee of 7.5. Directed to Sheffield Lab, LA Phil, amazing. It's my favorite Sibelius 5. It's a tulip. Can you just turn the cake label on? Just so folks who don't know what a tulip looks like, you can see the tulips around the outer ring with the label. George Baron, Brilliant Philharmonic, Carrie Ann. Oh, it's an incredible Sibelius 5. Equally great Sibelius 4. And Strauss Don Quixote, another great tulip. That's probably the best recording I own. That's the reference recordings Arnold Oates. The music is not even that great. I mean, I love Malcolm Arnold, but he wouldn't consider them great Malcolm Arnold music. But it's such an incredible recording. London Philharmonic played brilliant on it. He recorded it 2 ways, analog and digital. So the LP is analog. It's incredible. It's my old mate John Dwinger, one of my mentors at Trinity, a brilliant pianist. Died quite young, unfortunately, but his Schubert songs arranged wireless on Meridian. Just show the label again. Wonderful, wonderful record. You can find that. Analog Chronic, that's a good one. It's the English pressing, the unicorn of the Carl Nielsen Symphony Amplifier with the Philharmonia and Hornstein. Incredible recording. Another Tulip, Scheherazade, very good. That's one of my favorite recordings, the Rachmaninoff Symphony Dances on Athena, an early, very famous audiophile record. I think Kevin did it on Turnabout as a reissue. The distortion is very good also, but that is Doug Sachs. It's knockout, if you can find that recording. And that's an original songs of the Auvergne, beautiful, quite expensive. Natalia de Rath on Vanguard, but beautiful. That's the end of those. Okay, I have a few monos, and they're really, really good recordings. With the mono cartridge and the mono switch on my system, they sound wonderful. Jan, show the Columbia label, they're so beautiful. That's a wonderful Schwarzkopf and Fischer recording. Stunning Schubert. More Edward Fischer, Beethoven. These things are incredible for Debussy and Ravel. That's a wonderful, wonderful recording. My God, it's mono. More Schwarzkopf, more Schwarzkopf. The Great Backhouse, Beethoven, of course. And that's the beautiful Heifetz, the Lark reissue, RCA Victor Mono from Impex Records. AB did a great reissue of this. Just show the label, Jan. That gorgeous, that plum brown RCA Victor Mono. You know, that's still full price. Dennis Blaine's 19, I think it's 53 or 54. Mozart horn concertos with Kellyanne. Oh, it's splendid. It's wonderful. That's an original mono recording. Another one of my Elementors, Yehudi Menuhin. That's a very early one of the Beethoven with Fur Angler. The Beethoven concerto is wonderful. That's my monos. And we're going to end with box sets. This is the Emil Berliner, I think it's 2016 reissue of the Brahms Symphonies Carrier, all analog. Berlioz Romeo and Juliet, the RCA Shaded Dog, Soria series with Munch and the Boston Symphony. Absolutely magnificent. The EMI Campo 9 Symphonies, Beethoven. That's the Speaker's Corner, Janusz Starker Bach suites. I know there's a very fine analog production one, but it's much more expensive. This is very good. Tulip, Kemp Beethoven concertos, superb. One of the two greatest albums of the 20th century, Peter Grimes by Benjamin Britten. That's a blueback. I love Pinky Zuckerman's violin tone, and his Beethoven sonatas are gorgeous. That's the complete box set. The other great opera, the 2070 Wozzeck, that's my favorite recording, Deutsche Grammophon. Very early Deutsche Grammophon. Not a tulip, but with Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau and Evelyn Lear. It's wonderful. Cowborough. These are Toshiba Japanese pressings of the Schnabel, Beethoven sonatas, which are incredible. 2 volumes. Very heavy. Mozart quintets for string quartet and viola. Wonderful. Okay, continuing the box sets. Everyone wants the Schulte ring, and I don't blame them. The original Decca is a wonderful, great singing, great playing, incredible recording. This one, the recording is not quite as good as the Deutsche Grammophon, but I just love Carrie Asbury with the orchestra so much. I can't resist it. Also, Jan bought me that for my Christmas present, I would say 40 years ago, and she schlepped it back from Montreal in a snowstorm on a bus. And I threatened to sell it once, and I thought she was going to kill me. So that's a very special record for me. So that's the Carrie-Anne ring. Lots of great DeRosen Cavaliers. We're going to be talking about DeRosen Cavalier on our live stream next week. That's the my favorite. That's the Schwarzkopf EMI Carrie-Anne Philharmonia. That's a really fantastic box set from DG, the original source, the Steinberg Boston Symphony. There's 3 recorders. Jan, can you take them out, please? Pretty good Zarathustra. An incredible Hindemith recording, probably the best Hindemith recording ever made, with Mathis Tamala and concert music for strings and brass. Incredible. And a very fine planets. Many people know that planets. Leningrad, EMI Pavel Berglund, wonderful. That's the original Schoenberg, Boxberg, and Second Viennese School. Carrie-Anne Phil, incredible. It's been reissued on the original source, and I've heard it's supposed to be very good. It's a very underrated, brilliantly recorded Mahler 9 with the LSO and Schulte. That's a pretty good Mahler 6, a good recording. I would listen to the Deutsche Grammophon, the original source, with Carrie-Anne, which I know is a great performance. I'm just not sure how good the recording is. Jack on our live stream said it's fantastic, so I'd probably go with that one. But that's very good. Great Mahler 5 with Schulte. Incredible Mahler 3 with Hornstein and Unicorn. That's the British pressing. This is the Bruckner box, digital, but beautifully remastered by Emil Berliner. And that was the optimal pressing. And I had 3 boxes before I got to a good one, unfortunately. But it's wonderful. 8 and 9 are great, but 7 is the best on record with Giulini. That's the Carrie-Anne Deutsche Grammophon, the original source box. Very expensive now on Amazon. Still available, but it's wonderful. Only the 4th is not good. The other symphonies are fantastic. The 5th is the best on record. And finally, Brahms chamber music, the whole lot on Deutsche Grammophon. Very, very fine. So, thank you for watching. I'll do a jazz one at some time. Thank you, Jan, for helping. Hope you're all well. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.